Today in baseball history. Welcome to Today in Baseball History. Today is March. No, it's not. It's May 23rd, 2021. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about things that happened in baseball on May the 23rd. And unfortunately, the stuff that I'm going to tell you about today, I don't have jerseys of the people that I'm going to talk about. So I'm wearing my Cheap Trick t-shirt. Number one, May 23rd, 1901. Napoleon Lajoie. Probably a name that not a lot of, big baseball fans know. Even baseball fans probably don't really know the name Napoleon Lajoie. Uh, they called him Nap Lajoie, and he was one of the best hitters, if not the greatest hitter of the early 20th century baseball. He set tons of records in baseball, in early baseball, and I just have his stats up here. He was the first player to have more than 3,000 hits in his career. He played for 21 seasons, and he finished with 3,243 hits and a lifetime batting average of 338. I mean, come on. So in 1901, on this day, May the 23rd, as a show of respect, and he had only been, at this point, he had only been in the league maybe 6-7 years. As a show of respect, he was intentionally walked with the bases loaded, because this guy, especially in 1901, was hitting everything. His stats are ridiculous for that year. He would have, if they had an MVP award back in 1901, which they didn't, unfortunately, but if they had, he would have won it unanimously, easy, no votes for anybody else. Just a little bit of what he did. In 131 games that he played that year, he collected 232 hits. In 131 games. He scored 145 runs. He scored more than a run a game for his team, the Philadelphia Athletics of the newly formed American League. He had 48 doubles. He had 14 home runs. Now, 14 home runs, not a big deal. In 1901, 14 home runs, big deal. Like, he led the league with 14 home runs, and nobody was even close to him. There were entire teams, that didn't hit 14 home runs. So he had 125 RBIs, so almost an RBI a game as well. And he hit a paltry 426. That was his batting average for the year, 426. That's ridiculous. So as a sign, and it's, I mean, I've seen it done before, obviously. I think the last time we saw it was with Barry Bonds, where he was intentionally walked with the bases loaded because give up one run instead of four, right? But for that time, it didn't really happen all that often. So that happened on May 23rd of 1901. And just a little side note, after he played with the Philadelphia Athletics, he had a contract dispute, and rightly so, because he was the best player in baseball, which led him to be traded to, yes, yeah, traded to. He was traded to the Cleveland Indians, who at that time were known as, I believe, the Cleveland Spiders. Let me just double check this before I go on, because I don't want to get my information right and have people say, well, you don't know baseball at all. Okay, I got the information. Okay, so the Cleveland team, American League team, was known as the Cleveland Blues when they first joined the major leagues in 1901. Cleveland Blues. The next year, in 1902, they changed their name to the Cleveland Broncos. And in 1902, that was the year that Nap Lajoie was traded to the Cleveland team and became such a fan favorite, obviously because of his massive hitting skills, became such a fan favorite that they changed the name of the team to the Cleveland Naps in honor of this gentleman. I mean, come on. It wasn't until 1915 that they changed the Cleveland Naps name to the Cleveland Indians as we know them today. On this day, May 23rd, we're going to go all the way up now to 1996, playing in Boston, I believe. They're playing in Boston. Red Sox winning. They won the game 11-4 behind a complete game win by Mr. Roger Clemens. Again, something that happened all the time, especially back in the 80s, but now we're 1996. The thing about this game, though, is that Roger Clemens got up to bat and collected his first major league hit. How did that happen? It's an American League game. It wasn't an interleague game. They were playing in Boston. Why, as a pitcher, did Roger Clemens get up to bat and collect his first hit? Let me tell you why that happened. There is a rule in baseball. Obviously, the American League has the designated hitter, the DH. And if the DH, for whatever reason, has to go into the field at a position spot, then the pitcher becomes essentially the DH. The pitcher becomes a hitter. And this happened on that day, May the 23rd, 1996. What had happened was, I believe, there was an injury in the field. So Jose Canseco, who was the DH for Boston that day, had to go into the outfield. So switch it around. Roger Clemens is still pitching. They don't want to take him out of the game, and Roger Clemens doesn't want to come out of the game, and they're ahead by 7 runs for crying out loud. Hey, let's watch Roger Clemens try to get a hit, which is funny in itself, but he did. So and that's how that happened on May 23rd, 1996. Roger Clemens, batting in Fenway Park, gets his first hit. By the way, it was the first hit by a Boston Red Sox pitcher since 1972. Next, on May the 23rd, just 4 years later, in the year 2000, I don't know if any of you watch Conan O'Brien, but that used to be my favorite skit of theirs. Anyway, May 23rd, year 2000, Rickey Henderson, who I was never really a huge fan of, and that's probably why I don't own a jersey of his. And there's no doubt that he was a great player. I mean, the amount of bases that he stole, the amount of leadoff home runs that he hit, he was a dynamic player. But for me, the problem is that he knew it and he liked to tell people about it. And that, for me, is not a big thing. But on this day, in the year 2000, he registered his 2,000th walk of his career. Pretty big deal, since there were only, at that time, and I believe still, 2 others that had more walks than he did, or more than 2,000 walks. I shouldn't say more than he did, because now he is the career leader in walks. But at the time, there were only 2 that had 2,000 or more walks in their career, and one guy was named, let me just double check this here, one guy, Babe Ruth, and the other guy was Theodore Bills, Ted Williams. So a pretty good company right there. Rickey Henderson, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, 2,000 walks. This day, May the 23rd, in the year 2000. Shut up. Alrighty, May 23rd, 2002. One of my favorite things to have heard and to have seen replays of anyway on TV and to talk about afterwards. Shawn Green. Shawn Green came up with the Toronto Blue Jays and for me was an immediate favorite player of mine. This guy could do no wrong, except he struck out a lot right now. But in the outfield, he had a bullet of an arm. Just a powerful guy, long legs, could run. This guy, he was amazing. But the most amazing thing to watch Shawn Green do, and it was the same with John Olerud, was to watch him swing a bat. it was poetry. It was beautiful. It was Ken Griffey kind of beautiful. This guy could swing a bat, and he had power. He was a very powerful hitter. I just wish that he played a lot longer than he did. I think more people would be talking about Shawn Green to this day if he had played a little bit longer. But we're talking about May the 23rd, and we're talking about 2002 when Shawn Green, now playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers, does the most incredible thing anybody has ever seen a hitter do. First of all, he hits 4 home runs. 4. So I mentioned before, I mentioned in yesterday's little broadcast, that there have only been 18 4-home run games in the entire history of Major League Baseball. His being one on this day, 2002. So he hits 4 home runs, which is like a feat in itself, obviously. But he also has 2 more hits in the game. He goes 6 for 6 with 4 home runs and 2 doubles. No, that's not right. 4 home runs, a double, and a single. It must have been, right? Boop, 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 boop. I have lost my ability to do math. Of course, it was 4 home runs, a double, and a single because he had 19 total bases that day, which is currently still a major league record. 19 total bases in one baseball game. And it was a 9-inning game. It wasn't like they went into extra innings. I mean, they Dodgers won the game 16-3 for crying out loud. He had 7 RBIs. He scored 6 runs in the game, which is a franchise record for the Dodgers. It was ridiculous. The guy was hitting everything, and he was hitting it hard, and it was just a wonder to see. And the only thing that would have made it even better is if it was played in Los Angeles. They actually played in Milwaukee at Miller's Park. I don't know. But even the fans there, they knew greatness was happening. They were giving this guy a standing ovation every time he would show his face, and rightfully so. Just one of the most astounding hitting feats in all of baseball, and I'm so happy that not only that it was Shawn Green that did it, but that I was able to sort of be a part of it and witness it on the news, on all the sports news channels that night. May 23rd, 2002. Shawn Green. Okay, the last one I have for May 23rd is a really strange one. This happened in 2003, and it happened in the Pacific Coast League, I believe. Nope, it was this Class A South Atlantic League. And it took place in Lakewood, New Jersey, and what happened was that it started to rain, and it was raining pretty hard for a few minutes there, and they kept the game going a little bit, and the groundskeeper, whose name, do I even get his name here? Oh yeah, his name was Bill Butler. Bill Butler. He comes out and he starts pulling the tarp off and pulling the tarp onto the field, and the umpires are like, well, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm protecting my field." This is the guy who's been in baseball as a groundskeeper for like 20 years. Like, he's a vet. People love this guy. And he starts putting the tarp on, and the umps are like, "Get off the field. We're still playing." And he says, "No, I'm going to protect my field. You got to call this game. The rain's coming down." After verbal arguments for minutes upon minutes, they eject the groundskeeper. They eject Mr. Butler for being a jerk, really, is what his ejection was for. So he becomes, as far as I know and as far as I've been able to research, the only groundskeeper to be ejected from a baseball game. Didn't happen in the majors, but, still kind of funny. Anyway, that's baseball, May 23rd. If you like what you see, if you like what you hear, please subscribe and like my videos and tell all your friends and wear as many baseball jerseys as possible. Thanks.